Let's switch it up here, T. Go from Sunday to Saturday. We're getting to the interesting part here. Houston Nutt, former head coach, of course, with the Razorbacks for a long time, a couple of years at Ole Miss as well. And he's part of the CBS crew. He's an analyst on CBS Sports Network. Coach, it's Tiki Tierney. How are you today? What's happening?
Hey, I'm doing good. Appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's start with this. I think we all knew, at least against moderate competition, that as he had the first 2 weeks, Lamar Jackson was going to do some good things this past weekend. I don't think we all knew that the Cardinals' defense is as legit as it proved to be. Well, they have almost 10 sacks. The question is, was Louisville just overlooked because they're more of a basketball school, or were the Noles overrated? What the hell happened on Saturday?
I don't think anybody saw that coming. Everybody, I think, expected Florida State to win. And then you look up and you see the athleticism on the defensive side of the ball, which nobody talks about for Louisville. And then, of course, Lamar Jackson. Oh, my goodness, this guy's just out of sight now. And he can make things happen. We all knew he could run, but the thing that's improved so much is his throwing. And so now you have this dual threat that is up and down the field. Nobody can stop him. And then, oh, by the way, on defense, they're getting you 3 and out. So this is a good football team, and I don't think anybody really saw this thing coming.
Houston, what do you do if you're Florida State right now? Because they got blitzed. Obviously, second-ranked team in the country. And now all of a sudden you get blown out of the water in a game that nobody expected. How does Jimbo Fisher get his team to respond? Or are they just not that good this year?
Well, that's a great question because that was a blow. When you get whipped like that, now you got to circle it up, and the outside noise could really divide your football team. So the seniors, I'm sure there's a meeting with your seniors. That locker room is so important, and it is. It's about getting to the next game and getting that dose of medicine that you need, and that's a win. And it's not easy at all. And so to answer your question, it's just rallying the troops right now and going back to the next 60 minutes. Forget about everything else. Forget about Final Four. Forget about trying to get the play. It's the next game and trying to get that confidence and that dose of medicine that you need.
No doubt. Houston Nutt, of course, former head coach, college football, a lot of years, big resume. He's an analyst, CBS Sports Network. Catch him throughout the year inside college football on CBS Sports Network. And we got a game, of course, this Saturday. The aforementioned Cards, 3-0, take on Marshall at 8 Eastern. And, coaches, we bounce around here. Going into every college season, it's always about the SEC and everybody else. And I think as we've seen so far, granted, relatively early read, the Big Ten might be the best conference in football. I'm personally not buying Wisconsin. I don't think they're as good as their ranking. But Michigan, they were tested. They showed some nice resolve. We know that Ohio State's good. And Michigan State, I think, is better than I thought. Where does the Big Ten rank right now in terms of conference power?
Okay, they're probably at the top right now.
Yep.
SEC's a little down, but it's still early. But Ohio State, when you lose that many players and you go to Norman, Oklahoma, and you go dominate a game like that, to me that says a lot. Michigan State. Oh, by the way, here comes Michigan State. They never say nothing. Everybody didn't say anything about them all summer. Nobody's talking about them. And what do? They just don't play ball. They're tough. They're physical, and they know how to win. And Michigan looks like they're in pretty smooth sailing for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So they're rolling right now.
Are they still a year away, though, Michigan, in terms of, really stocking the entire cupboard with elite talent that gets some reps on Saturday with Harbaugh? Are they ready now to maybe win a championship?
Probably if you just on paper, you'd probably say they're a year away. But here's what happens, though, with Michigan. They're gaining ground each and every week. The schedule's laid out for them. They're going to be 7-0. If you go down that schedule for the next few weeks, I really feel like they'll get 6 to 7-0, and then you never know as they gain confidence. The toughness that they have, and Jim Harbaugh, what he instills in that program. Things are laid out for them pretty good for schedule wise. So watch out. You never know. You may say it's a year away because they're missing a couple of athletes, but we all know that ball bounces funny.
Yeah, it does.
No,
it does.
It's oblong for a reason. Houston, down in Texas in the Big 12, the Texas Longhorns look like a team that was going to finally be on the come. Then they lose to a Cal team, and, it was a barn burner. 93 points they scored between the two of them. But they lose that game. How damaging is that to what Charlie Strong was starting to rebuild down in Texas?
that hurts. That hurts Texas bad. You know, they got off on such a great start, feeling really good about themselves. Shane Buechele, they got a new quarterback, a freshman, felt like with him and Swoops going to be the answer. And then when you go on the road and you lose a game like that, man, it just sets you back. And so now you got to start back over again. And when you look at what happened to them this weekend, you know, it doesn't look good. Big 12 doesn't look good right now.
So at Houston Nutt with us here on Tiki and Tierney, a little college football, CBS Sports Radio.
Houston, let me jump over to the SEC, and I want to get your thoughts on Alabama. Now, we saw Nick Saban going after Lane Kiffin a couple weeks ago, and for the last, year or so, you've been thinking, when is Lane going to jump? Now, they bring in Steve Sarkisian, who is an assistant or whatever he is, whatever his title is. How soon until it's his job and Lane goes elsewhere?
Well, nobody knows. He's got a pretty good job when you have a chance to coach some of the best athletes and a supporting cast, especially on defense. Alabama can beat you in so many ways. So as a play caller on the other side, when you got special teams and defense and a real good supporting cast because of recruiting, pretty good gig now. So there's nothing like winning. But to answer your question, his name is going to be in the mix now. He's been a coordinator, has done a good job at Alabama. They won a national title. So his name will start popping out there. You just don't know. If somebody's going to take a chance on it.
Yeah. Houston, let's look at the big picture with the Pac-12. We've known and we've been conditioned to look at Stanford as a truly viable contender, not just for conference supremacy, but for big picture, with Harbaugh and, of course, more recently, David Shaw. They've been a model program for a while now. Washington obviously is popping, and they're a top 10 team. Again, I know it's early. Do you have a sense? Who do you like better right now, the Huskies or the Cardinal?
Well, I like Stanford. I like Stanford overall, but Washington I feel like is right there behind them coming. So that'll be interesting how that plays out. But Stanford, because of Christian McCaffrey, because of Coach Shaw, the toughness on offense and defense, I just like overall the way they play. And they're a physical group. They bring this passion to the game, and they're fun to watch, especially with Christian McCaffrey. You get to do so many things. He can beat you, whether it be a punt returner, kick returner, throwing the ball, or handing the ball. He seems to make things happen. So I would say Stanford, but watch out. Washington is they're coming.
Oh, I know. And by the way, Coach, do you think McCaffrey's going to be a good pro?
I do.
So do I.
He's so versatile. I really do. I think he's so such a hard worker, but he can do so many things as far as a third down back, a punt returner, kick returner. I think he's a valuable guy.
Mm-hmm. Houston Nutt, of course, here on Tiki and Tierney, analyst, CBS Sports Network. Catch him throughout the year. He's got a good, fun crew inside college football on our network. And the matchup this Saturday highlighted by Lamar Jackson, the Heisman frontrunner. Louisville taking on Marshall late Eastern.
Back to the Alabama-Ole Miss game, and Alabama obviously had a great win, but Chad Kelly, he's an interesting character, and I think he's a really good quarterback. Does he have a chance? I don't even know what the question really is, because I know he's a good player, but there's so many other things surrounding him. What's his next level going to be like?
Well, that's a good question. He throws some pretty balls. If you look at the fourth quarter ball that he threw the takeoff, the fade route, he had to put that ball in a perfect place where just his receiver could get the ball with the safety coming over a corner in the guy's face. I mean, he really throws, whether it be the intermediate route, the crosser, the post-to-post corner. He can make those throws. So he's going to get an opportunity. The DNA of Kelly, he's going to get an opportunity. I'm anxious to see how he finishes out, but he has a toughness, and we know this, guys, has an attitude of confidence. He believes, like, hey, he's done told everybody media day, I'm the best. So he got real confident.
Yeah. Coach, final thing for me, I watch Tennessee, I watch Georgia, and I watch LSU on a weekly basis, and I know there's a lot of things to like. There's also a lot of things that give me pause to really anoint them as legit programs this year in terms of, maybe somehow cracking the top 4 and even cracking the top 10. Which of those 3 teams do you think has a chance to really get it going for the next couple of months and have an extended run toward something meaningful?
Well, if you just look at the landscape right now, we're talking September now.
Yep.
It's still early. If you look at last year, if you went back last year, I think Ole Miss was number 1 or number 2. Georgia. So I still think it's early, but if you just go right now, the eye test and the way things turn. First of all, Louisville has got everybody's attention now because of Lamar Jackson. So you're going to keep your eye there. I'm anxious to see what happens. The Big Ten you mentioned earlier. I'm anxious to see how that plays out with Ohio State. When you lose 18 starters and they come back the way they did and take their team on the road and beat it Oklahoma decisively, well, that sends a message. I'm anxious to see what happens with Stanford. Big 12, I'm kind of losing a little bit. I really thought there for a moment, I thought Texas may have some real input, but I don't know. But again, Alabama, they can beat you in so many ways. Offense, special teams, the kick, the punt return the other day by Eddie Jackson, and then Jalen Hurts keeps getting better. So it's kind of like stay tuned. You don't want to count it. SEC's a little down right now, but we got to let this thing play out a little bit. That's why it's so much fun.
Houston, we only got about 30 seconds here, but let me ask you about Houston. We're going to have Tom Herman on tomorrow to talk about his squad, but can they be a non-Power 5 team to make the playoff this year?
I should have mentioned their name. You're exactly right. There's no question about it. I think they're for real. This isn't just a name that you just say out in Houston. No, they got defense. They got athleticism. They got, of course, the quarterback in Greg Ward. They've got a really good football team, and if they keep winning, it'll be hard to get in that Final Four, but if they keep winning, and it's going to come down to probably that Louisville game. They really needed Oklahoma to win, so that hurts them a little bit. But you never know. You just got to, again, play it out a little bit. But they have the most difficult road to get to the playoff. But I'll tell you what, they're a very good football team.
A long way to go, but a lot of cool, fun storylines. Houston Nutt, good spot, buddy. Appreciate you. Thank you very much, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. And just a heads up again, CBS Sports Network, 8 Eastern. You haven't seen Lamar Jackson yet? Check them out. They got the game against Marshall, 8 Eastern. There it is. So we appreciate Coach swinging by.